Hello everybody, so it's Friday, so it's time for another Friday reads. So this week I was participating in the hibernation last week, and I uploaded a vlog and everything, so you might have seen that. But basically I finished 3 books during the weekend that were for hibernation. The first one I finished is Viaja Portugal by José Saramago, which basically follows the traveler, which is José Saramago, going through Portugal and exploring the land and the people, especially in rural areas. It had a lot of small village customs and politics, but also nature. So I enjoyed this one. However, I think it will have had more impact if I knew the places that he was talking about in Portugal. But overall, I enjoyed it. And the next one I read is Interior Chinatown by Charles Yu. And this one was a buddy read with Rainier, and we have started our in-deep conversation series on this. So he has uploaded a video and I have uploaded a video as well, and he will be uploading the 3rd video of the deep conversation on Sunday, I think. So yeah, and this one I really enjoyed. This one follows Willis Wu, who is a Chinese American in Los Angeles that is trying to make a career out of acting. However, he can only get the roles that generic Asians have. So generic Asian man, or owner of a Chinese restaurant, or kung fu guy. He doesn't have normal roles, and this book outlines basically those prejudices and those stereotypes and how they negatively affect Asian people. And I think that this was very well done. It was very innovative. It was written like a script, which I think it fit very well the story itself. And I think that it was very smart, and it was really lighthearted and easy to read in the surface, but then if you go deep into what it was trying to say, it's actually quite important. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. And then the last one I read for the hibernation was Africa's Tarnished Name by Chinua Achebe, and I really enjoyed this one as well. This is a small collection of essays that Chinua Achebe wrote regarding how Africans are viewed all over the world. So people tend to have this notion of Africans as not as developed and not as smart, and he shows that was the case basically because of slavery. They were trying to justify taking these people from Africa and use them as property, and for them to justify that to themselves, they needed to say, okay, these people are not as clever, and that stereotype has stayed up to now. And Chinua Achebe in this book tries to claim back the humanity and the dignity of African people, and asks people to recognize that they are equally capable of things, basically, and they are equally human. It was interesting also because he doesn't only show how this stereotype plays in the West, but also within Africa. There are certain African countries in which that stereotype has also stayed with the Africans, and he talks about the differences between the different African countries and how they go through this process of recognizing their own value. And I just thought it was a lot of interesting things in such a small book. I would recommend everyone to read it. After that, I started Hollowpox by Jessica Townsend, which I have just finished yesterday. And this is a middle grade. It's the 3rd on a series, which follows Morrigan Crow, who is 13-year-old. So she was taken to Nevermore on her 11th birthday, and she has to go through several trials to join the Wonder Society. that happens in the first book. And in this book, it was very timely, I think. This book was written before Corona, but it's about sort of a disease, like a very infectious disease, that affects only these big animals that are called woonimals, and they are like people. They have conscious and all that, so they are considered like people, but this disease makes them act like animals. And it's about how all the prejudices of woonimals come out, and also there was a lot of fake news and things like that in it, so I think it was very timely in that sense, because that all touches on things that have been happening in the last few years. But then on top of that, the way that she did it was through an infectious disease, which it's very timely for right now. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and I was happy to have a lighter read. I needed that this week, because there was a lot of brain drain this week in other things from my personal life. So I really enjoyed Hollowpox. And then the other thing that I finished is Earthlings by Sayaka Murata. And Sayaka Murata wrote Convenience Store Woman, which I read and I really enjoyed. It was this very small, quirky book about this woman that did not feel she needed to follow the very strict societal rules in Japan. And Earthlings, it fits on that same idea, but it makes it a lot more dark and messed up. So this book is about this woman who we see her first on when she was young. I think she was 11 or 12, and then we go to when she was about 35, and she has this idea that she's not from the earth, she's an alien, because they call society the factory, and they say that the factory wants you to use your body and have babies and fabricate people for the factory to brainwash into these very strict rules, which are exactly the same rules that Convenience Store Woman touch upon. And the book explores the life of this woman, that she thinks that she's an alien, so she does not follow the factory rules, and she's trying to push the limits of what it is acceptable and not acceptable in that society, and to which extent we are brainwashed by it. And yeah, she goes through this whole of very dark episodes. Some of them are because the factory is trying to make her conform into this, and that there is abuse in there, especially when she was little. But then when she grows up, she also herself wants to prove that she is not an earthling, and so she does things to show that she does not comply with the society rules. And it's very, very messed up, but it's also very interesting. The writing style is I feel like quite Japanese, in the sense that it's detached, but at the same time it's kind of whimsical and also brutal, and the story itself is just completely messed up, but it does have very interesting topics that it touches upon, so I quite enjoyed that one. And then on the same vein, I also listened to an audiobook of Breast and Eggs by Mieko Kawakami, and this one is a more normal story. It's about Natsuke, who is a woman in Japan as well. She grew up poor, and now she's trying to figure out her life, her work, we touch upon her work a little bit. She wants to be a writer, but also her personal life and especially motherhood. So in that sense, it touches on similar topics as Earthlings in the societal rules and motherhood and so on. But it's it's much more rooted in reality. And the most important part of the book for me was the discussion of having a partner first, because I think in Japan it's quite an important thing for women to have a partner and get married and have children. And even though in the West we also do have pressure to do those things, I think in Japan it's a lot more. And it touches on that. And also the fact that the protagonist does not feel like she needs a partner, but at the same time she does want to be a mother, so she's considering a sperm donor. But there is a big discussion about what a sperm donor child would go through and if it's ethical or not. And basically the I will say the core of that book is focused on that debate about sperm donors and if it's ethical or not. I thought it was an interesting discussion, but I'm not sure if the conclusions that the book arrived to were things that made sense at the end for me. And the way that it all ended, it felt a little bit too neat for my liking. So that one was a bit more of a mixed bag, because I did enjoy the ideas, but the way they were developed, I think it did fall in some stereotypes and some like happy endings and things like that. But yeah, overall I did like it. And then the one that I'm currently reading, I'm only currently reading one book and I have read a few pages, just started it, is The Girl with the Loud Voice by Abi Daré. And this one is about a girl in Nigeria that has been married by her family to a much older man that already has several wives. So far, what I have read, it's very small chapters, which goes very quickly, and also the writing style is quite readable and easy to go through, I think. So this is probably going to be a quick read. I cannot tell much about the story or the character development because I'm only a few pages in, but I'm excited to continue reading this. And then today also is the start of the Bias Breaker Readathon that is organized by several people. I saw it in Pastori Times channel. They are some of the co-hosts, and it runs from today 4th of December until the 20th of December, so it's 2 weeks. And the goal of the readathon is to read things that might challenge your vision of the world. So they have 5 prompts. The first one was the group book, which was Earthlings, and I actually, as you have seen, I have already read that one, and I just read it before the readathon because it was due back in the library, so I had to read it fast before it was due. So I cheated a little bit on that prompt and I read it early, but yeah, that one is done. So this readathon, there are like different paths. I chose the researcher scientist path, so that defines the rest of the prompts apart from the group book that I need to read. So the first one for my path is to read a book with a bisexual, pansexual or asexual character, and for that I've chosen The Female Persuasion by Meg Wolitzer. I believe this book has a bisexual character and I have been wanting to read it for a while, so I thought this was the best opportunity for me to do that. The next prompt for me is to read a translated book, and for that I'm planning to read The Eighth Life by Nino Haratschivili. I have been talking about this for a while and I really want to read it, and it's very big, but I really want to read it, so I definitely need to read this before the end of the year. So this is a good opportunity for that. And then the next prompt is to read something that is the opposite of what you normally read, and for this Actually, my in real life book club is going to be reading romance this December. We are having kind of a starting tradition to read a romance book every December for our book club. So this year, the chosen one was A Holiday by Gaslight by Mimi Matthews, and since I have to read this for my book club anyway, and I never read romance, I think it was very fitted for this prompt. And then they have an extra prompt that I don't know about yet because they are planning to release it midway through the readathon. So I will let you know what that prompt is and what I choose for that whenever it comes. But yes, for this week, I think I will start the 8th life as soon as I finish The Girl with the Louding Voice. So yeah, that was all for me. Let me know what you have been reading this week, what you plan on reading, if you have read any of the books I've talked about and what you thought about them. And until next video, bye!